You ever try so hard to get somebody to see things from your point of view? You almost have to convince somebody that your perspective is right. And then before you know it, you're frustrated because they just don't get it or they just don't get you. You feel like I've done everything the right way. I've said everything the right way. How come you aren't understanding me? Well, if that's you, you're in the right place, because in this video, I want to talk about why being misunderstood is actually a good thing. And by the end of this video, you'll stop wasting your time and wasting your energy trying to convince people that they have to see things your way. Let's get right into it. So this used to be a big struggle of mine. I used to try really hard to get people to see things how I saw them. And I didn't even realize I was doing this. Now, looking back on this, I realized that I was doing this to try to connect. I looked at being understood as a true way of connecting with somebody. But after time and time again of leaving a conversation, feeling drained or angry, I got to a point where I realized that I don't need to be understood by everybody, because I finally realized that me trying to be understood was really me trying to get this emotional itch scratched. So why do we need to be understood? So when you're trying to be understood, you're trying to connect. And when you're seeking that understanding, what you're seeking is that validation that your perspective, your angle, how you see things is okay. And when somebody like agrees with you, it kind of just solidifies that for you. It validates that for you. And when you aren't getting that, that can create a lot of frustration within you. That can create a lot of friction, almost like, why aren't you getting me? Why aren't you understanding me? You know, it's like you're reaching out like, why aren't you validating me and telling me that my experience is correct? And also when you're seeking to be understood, it's also like you're seeking to be seen. You're seeking to be heard. That's what it really is. And it can create a lot of problems with us when we don't get that, especially like in our relationships. We have this expectation that the people closest to us should automatically understand us. So I want to take a different angle, and I want to share what being misunderstood actually shows you. When you're feeling like you're misunderstood, it's showing you that you may not be aligned with that person. We have these expectations of people that they should just get us. You know, like, I've known you for years. Why don't you just understand me? And what we don't realize is that we're all on different walks of life. People may not have experienced life the way you have, or may not have experienced enough life to really understand where you're coming from. So when you have that expectation of somebody, you're going to constantly feel let down when they're not able to kind of put themselves in your shoes. And that's what's leading you to feeling misunderstood. And it's showing you that maybe that person's on a different frequency. That doesn't mean that they don't need to be in your life. That doesn't mean you need to end the friendship. Sometimes maybe you do. But it also means, like, you know, look at that person for what they do provide. What value do they bring to your life? Maybe they're just a funny ass person. Maybe they make you laugh all the time. Maybe they're a reliable person. If you need a couch moved, you can call on them and they're going to be there. But maybe when you get on some deep type stuff and you got some things going on in your life, you're trying to explain this to them and they just don't see it. They just don't feel it. Maybe they just haven't been there in their life to really grasp what you're trying to share with them. So don't let that get to you so much. It's about those expectations too, man. What I like to say is you're expecting something from someone that they simply can't give you. And it's not a good thing. It's not a bad thing. It's just, it is what it is thing. So how do we be okay with being misunderstood? For me, I've had to learn that people just see the world through their own lens. So when you're trying to constantly convince somebody to see it through your lens, it's like you're banging your head up against the wall. And also what I've learned is that you'll know when somebody is in alignment with you. You know, like how to be okay with being misunderstood. It's like, learn how to be solid within yourself. So you don't necessarily need everybody else to fall in line with how you see things. You know, I notice this a lot in like politics and stuff like that. We're always trying to convince somebody to see what we see in like a political figure, or why do you vote for this person, or why do you support this person? And as you and I both know, that politics type stuff causes a lot of problems amongst people. But I'm just using this as an example of like trying to really force our opinions and our thoughts onto somebody, and we don't even realize we're doing it. And then when they don't receive that, we get mad at them. Like, how come you don't see this? How come you don't feel what I feel? And it's simple, man. It's because they just don't. They are conditioned from their own upbringing, their environment, their life experiences. And we need to learn how to give them grace too, the same grace that we're seeking from them. Like we want to be understood. Like we got to look at them like, yo, do you understand that person's point of view? Do you understand that he may have or she may have their own perspective, their own opinions about things? Are you able to put yourself in their shoes, or are you constantly wanting them to step in your shoes and see it from your angle? So you got to be real with yourself and ask yourself that. And once you can really understand this and put awareness on this, this is going to allow you to be more okay with being understood. You don't have to really be chasing that, like that validation, like I was talking about earlier. I'll give you a quick, interesting story here. One of my coworkers, right? So just to give you some context, where I work at across the street, they're going to be putting in like a Circle K or something like that, or a new gas station or something. And I live in like a mountainous area, okay? And one of my coworkers, she's really into like nature, really into outdoors and stuff like that. She's trying to like save this tree where they're probably going to cut down this really nice looking tree to build this parking lot or whatever they're about to do over there, right? So she then started this petition, like, yo, trying to get everybody to like sign this petition to save this tree, right? And she brought it to me. She brought it to all the coworkers, like, hey, we really need to save this. You know, we really need to do X, Y, and Z. And at one point, this was like last week, she was like, we're sitting there having this conversation, and she's trying to explain to me why I need to sign this petition, why I need to like understand her angle, her perspective of why this tree needs to be saved. You know, we live amongst the trees. You know, there's going to be animals and there's wildlife that live in these trees. And if that tree gets cut down, they're going to have to find another place to live. She's trying very hard to get me to understand her perspective, her angle. So what this did is it honestly kind of pushed me away a bit. You know, I still haven't signed this petition. She be hitting me up like every day, like, hey, why haven't you signed it? I'm curious as to why you haven't signed it. I want to understand why you haven't signed it. And I'm sharing this to say that that desire of hers, that need of hers to get me to understand her perspective, her reasoning is like pushing me away from even like trying to get engaged. I'm just like, I'll get to it when I get to it. You know, I don't necessarily have the same passion or the same desire that you have to save this tree. That's not to say that your passion and your desire to save a tree is not valid, is not warranted, is not a nice, kind thing to do. But when things get presented to me a certain way, like where you're trying to force something on me, or you're trying to uh, pressure me to see it from your angle, it makes me just kind of retreat and be like, yo, I'm my own person. I'll get to it when I get to it. You know, now I feel like if it gets presented to me in a way where it's like, hey, I'm trying to like save this tree here. You know, I don't want you to feel obligated to like sign something or anything. You know, if you feel like you want to support, great. And if you don't, that's great too. See what I just shared there? Me personally, that's how I receive things a little bit better. And that would allow me to really understand her perspective and where she's coming from a little bit better, as opposed to feeling like I'm forced and like I'm obligated to understand her. I'm hoping that this example is making sense. I know I can get like long-winded and kind of philosophical on type of stuff. But again, the young lady that I'm talking about, she's a sweetheart. She grew up in this area, so she has a relationship with the environment around her. And I appreciate her for having that appreciation of her surroundings. But what I'm saying is sometimes we try so hard to get people to understand our perspective, our views, while we are doing something, that it really just pushes the other person away. So that's what I want to kind of highlight in this video. It's like, stop trying to have to make everybody understand where you're coming from. And those people that do understand where you're coming from, you'll notice them. They'll stand out. You'll be on the same frequency. You'll feel it. They'll ask certain questions. They'll be curious. They'll want to know more. But if you're running into people where it's like, they ain't asking no questions, you're trying to prove your point, it's almost like they don't give a damn. You have to learn how to be okay with that. You have to learn how to be okay that someone is not just soaking up everything in the same way that you soak it up, if that makes any sense. We all move differently. And it's really important to understand that, like I said, everybody sees things through a different lens. It's really important to just understand that not everybody's going to get you. Not everybody's going to understand everything about you. And that doesn't make them a bad person. It doesn't make them a good person. It doesn't make you a bad or a good person. It's just simply, it is what it is. And the better you can get at just kind of rolling with the punches and being okay and saying, you know what? I don't need everybody to understand me. I understand me. I know who I am. And those out there in the world that are on the same frequency, that are on the same wavelength with me, I'll run into them. I'll align with them. And I'm going to be okay if I don't. So it's learning to just be able to kind of go with the flow of things and not trying to force things so much. Of course, we all want to be understood. We all want to feel accepted. But it's being okay when you're not, and understanding that you might not always be accepted. You might not always be understood. And I know that can drum up a lot of pain in us because I used to deal with it too. I used to always have to explain and over explain, trying to get somebody to see something from my perspective. And then I'm drained and I'm angry and I'm pissed off that you don't see it. It's because that person is just not there yet. That person may not care. And that's cool. But we have to learn how to be okay with that. And to be okay with that, you got to learn how to be okay with yourself. Be solid within yourself. Be confident within yourself. Know who you are. Know how you move through life. Know what's important to you. And understand that what's important to you might not be important to everybody else. But those who it is important to, you'll find them. You'll feel it. And you'll know it. So I just wanted to make this video, and I hope that this provided you some value. If it did, please be sure to hit the like button. You know, it really helps with the growth of the video. Also, don't forget to subscribe to the channel. And I want to know if this video made sense to you, if it flowed for you. Also, if you're someone who's interested in going deeper into self-mastery, emotional mastery, understanding yourself on a deeper level so that everything outside of you doesn't have such like a negative impact on you, it doesn't make life so heavy on you, then book a call with me. I'll leave the links in the description. We can get on a coaching call together, see if that we're a fit to work together moving forward. And if that's something that you're interested in, just go ahead and reach out to me. But until then, I will see y'all in the next video. Make sure you click on this one right here. YouTube thinks that you'll like this one. All right. And I'll see y'all there. Peace.